Bismarck's unarmored twin rudders, angled for the hard turn to avoid the torpedo, jammed 12 degrees to port.
Und Leutnant Richter, die stiegen dann von unserem U-Raum ein.
They sent 2 men down in diving suits to try to fix the rudder mechanism. But the water was rushing in too fast to the big hole, so we all had to come back up.
Weil das Loch und der Seegang zu stark war und mussten wieder hochkommen.
The swordfish have crippled the mighty battleship. With rudders jammed, Bismarck can only steam back toward her enemy.
Wir wissen ja nur von der Schiffsführung.
We knew that all efforts failed to steer the ship. We were alone, surrounded by enemies.
Gegen Nordwest fahren konnten.
Admiral Gunther Lütjen signals Berlin. Ship unmaneuverable. We will fight to the last shell. Long live the Führer. The British close in. The hunt for the Bismarck steams toward a bloody climax. May 27, 1941. Battleship Bismarck, crippled by courageous swordfish pilots, steams helplessly toward the waiting guns of her enemies. Air power has demonstrated its supremacy over the mightiest warship. The British surface fleet closes in for the killing blow.
Finally, there's an opportunity to avenge the Hood, and the British go into action confident that they can achieve this.
On King George V, Fleet Admiral John Tovey plots his tactics. His plan? Force the cornered German ship to divide its fire against multiple targets. Then turn his ship's broadside, unleashing massive firepower. Battleships Rodney and King George V speed to within 12 miles of Bismarck. At 8:47 a.m., Rodney's 16-inch guns fire. Then King George V. Shells rain down around Bismarck. The British crew stuff cotton in their ears to deaden the sound. Their throats sting as they breathe in the cordite fumes after each salvo. The desperate German battleship strikes back.
Lütjen's first act was to open fire on the aged battleship Rodney. It's been suggested by some that, like Hood, he saw her as an older ship and thought, perhaps weaker, he could take her out and lessen the odds against him.
Both sides miss their targets. With each salvo, the gunners adjust their rangefinders. With her rudders jammed, Bismarck can't maneuver. She's an easy target. Rodney scores the first hit on Bismarck at 9:02 a.m. The British have the range and let loose with everything they have.
We were firing broadside. We were firing 10 shells at a time. 10 14-inch shells were going all over. And that's a hell of a lot of shells for one ship to take.
Two British cruisers, Norfolk and Dorsetshire, join the fight. Bismarck is being pummeled from all sides.
Ich kann nur von dem Endkampf erzählen, dass wir nur ab und zu
Shell splinters rained through the air ducts that supplied our fresh air. The shells were hitting us fast, violently.
Then, King George V's 14-inch guns make a critical hit.
in dem Moment ging eine Granate
A shell hit the gunnery control and also the main battery. The men screamed because of all the sulfur steam. It scalded them terribly.
Bismarck is now a slaughterhouse. The huge dreadnought fires a final salvo, but at 9:31 a.m., her mighty guns fall silent.
Wurde dann von der Schiffsführung durchgegeben.
As Bismarck's guns stopped, shells were hitting everywhere. Pieces of the ship were blasted away.
Sprengen sollten und dann das Schiff verlassen sollten. Das Schiff wird versenkt.
In the end, it was pitiful to see, really, because we knew she wasn't firing anymore.
Tubby's warships fire over 2,800 shells. 400 hits reduce Bismarck to a ravaged steel inferno. But the great battleship, her flag still flying, remains afloat. At 10:21, Tubby ceases fire. The cruiser Dorsetshire moves in to sink Bismarck with torpedoes. But the commanding officers left on Bismarck have other plans.
Turbinenräume und die mussten
They announced over the PA that we should set scuttling charges and open the sea valves. We were going to sink her ourselves and abandon ship.
die ungefähr 1 Meter Durchmesser hatten, angebracht werden.
Before the scuttling charges take effect, the Dorsetshire fires 3 21-inch torpedoes into Bismarck. At 10:39 a.m., Bismarck sinks by the stern into a watery grave. During the fight, Swordfish flew in but couldn't make attack runs in the fury of the surface battle. Now, Jock Moffat flies above the carnage.
I was witness to a scene which haunted me for many days. All those hundreds of poor sailors bobbing up and down in gale waters is not a pretty sight. And when we got back to the ship, there was no euphoria because we thought to ourselves, they're sailors, we're sailors, and they're by the grace of God.
Out of Bismarck's crew of 2,092, only 115 survive. Among the dead are Admiral Lutyens and Captain Lindemann. Bismarck's only combat mission lasted just 215 hours. She proved a formidable enemy against surface ships. But ultimately, courageous British pilots in antiquated biplanes proved that dreadnoughts were vulnerable to air power.